What is the diameter of the rifle round fired out of an M4 A1 rifle?
That's a 5.56.
How many rounds of 5.56 can you fit into the magazine of an M4 rifle?
Depends on the magazine, but standard issue is 30.
Yes. Well, not all of the questions were very challenging. I think everybody listening to this radio show could have answered those questions. And the next was the sidearm, the pistol carried by American troops. What's the caliber of that pistol? And anybody? You in the back? Yes, of course, it's a 9mm pistol. Don't be silly. Any child of 6 could answer that question. And the 5.56 and a 30-round magazine. What was it? Remember when David Gregory brought the magazine in to do his TV show, and it was okay because he's a Democrat. How many rounds was that magazine? That was a high-capacity magazine. Little bit of the Pete Hegseth confirmation hearing yesterday where, honestly, he mopped the floor with the nitwits that call themselves U.S. senators, Democrat senators. That was a Republican senator there asking questions about the U.S. military. Pretty fundamental things. It was a good moment. It was a fun moment. There were a lot of good moments, and I got to say, Pete Hegseth did an outstanding job yesterday. He really did. Calm, cool, collected. Looked good, stayed cool, answered well, was comfortable in his own skin, smiling a bit here and there, maybe even smirking from time to time, but at appropriate times. It was a lot of fun. And we got a whole bunch more confirmation hearings underway today. Today we have many more because time marches on, and we're moving forward. Pam Bondi to be Attorney General. She's out of Florida. And Marco Rubio to be Secretary of State. He's out of Florida. We've got John Ratcliffe to be CIA Director, former Director of National Intelligence, regular guy squared away. Former member of the House of Representatives, former Congressman Sean Duffy to be the Secretary of Transportation. He'll be no Pete Buttigieg, I'll tell you that much. And who are they going to have in charge of nuclear waste at the Department of Energy? Any cross-dressing luggage thieves that like to dress up like African women and dance around at home? You know, kind of typical Democrat behavior. Remarkable stuff. And the Secretary, Department of Energy, Chris Wright. All kinds of confirmation hearings. Russell Vought to be the director of the OMB. We call it the OMB in Washington. That's the Office of Management and Budget. Lots of stuff going on in Washington. Now, this is Wednesday. You know what that means, don't you? It's Wednesday, and Inauguration Day is Monday. So tick, 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 Kamala Harris. Hey, has Kamala Harris invited the incoming vice president and second lady, incoming vice president, and because it's custom, I talked about this yesterday, and maybe the day before too, but always in America, the outgoing vice president and the outgoing president invites the incoming vice president and the incoming president over to their future residences, right? And now the incoming J.D. Vance and his bride normally would be invited by the current vice president and Slugger, her husband Slugger, who, you know him, it's good to be a Democrat, isn't it? And isn't it funny that they attacked Pete Hegseth over women's issues, right? And Virginia Senator Tim Kaine, one of the best pals and biggest supporters of Bill Clinton, who has quite a history with women, doesn't he? And it's hump day today. It's Wednesday, so it's hump day in the Clinton household. That means Hillary Clinton wakes up face down in a pool of her own dried vomit on her nice linoleum floor in one of her multi-million-dollar mansions, and she knows she's got to clear out around breakfast time because Bill Clinton gets the house. The Energizer might be coming over, all that stuff. But and it means it's mailbag day here on the Chris Plant Show, too. And right here I have the mailbag queries. I have the queries. That's like questions, but a funnier word. So we got that going for it. But apparently Kamala Harris, being a rude, vicious, bitter, angry loser, has not invited the incoming vice president and his loving bride over to the vice president's residence at the U.S. Naval Observatory in Washington, D.C., to tour the house, get the look around, and, look out for this faucet because it'll surprise you. You know, you get the walk around in the house. But not with Kamala, you don't. And with the media, they're fine with that because the media is a hate cult that kills for the Democrat Party. They sneak up on you and murder you, and all kinds of crazy stuff. Amazing, amazing things. And what did Joe Biden did? Joe Biden gave communist Cuba a parting gift of sorts. Communist because they loved communists. They're not on the side of America so much. They burn the American flag, but they wave the flags of other countries. Aren't they amazing? And Joe Biden, Cuba has been long designated a supporter of certainly communism, of terrorism. They're a state sponsor of terrorism. And Americans have been targeted in Cuba in the last few years with these energy pulse weapons or electromagnetic pulse weapons, concentrated energy weapons fired at the brains of American diplomats and other Americans, scrambling brains from a distance, causing physical harm. And that's an act of terrorism, of political terrorism. But Joe Biden and the Democrats are fine with that because they hate America probably more than most of the Cubans do. Most of the Cuban government, most Cubans don't hate America. They hate communism. But just amazing stuff. So he lifted the designation as a state sponsor of terror because they're basically communists. You remember when Barack Obama went to Cuba and sucked up to the Castro brothers, then both living, posed in front of a wall-sized mural of Che Guevara and thought it was the coolest thing ever, made him hip like he's a high school dope dealer, and he's got a Che Guevara T-shirt. It was that elemental, that lame. Barack Obama got a free ride through his entire life, and he's bitter about it. Maybe if he had to work for anything, he wouldn't be bitter and small the way that he is now. And speaking of Big Mike, his wife, also known as Big Mike, she's got to tuck it to the side, doesn't she? And she's nowhere to be found. She didn't show up for the Jimmy Carter funeral at the Washington National Cathedral, where, according to protocol, she would have been seated next to Donald Trump because last president before that, first lady, and protocol would have had them seated next to one another. So she stayed in Hawaii at their multi-million-dollar oceanfront mansion there because they're of the people, and they got a $40 million, $50 million Netflix deal to do nothing, kind of like a Hunter Biden deal with a Ukrainian gas company called Burisma, $1 million a year rounding for nothing, for a no-show job. And his buddy, Devin Archer, got the same deal, just $990,000 a year or something for a no-show job in an industry that neither one of them had ever worked, in a country that neither one of them had ever been to, still haven't been to, don't speak the language, don't know the business. Here's $1 million a year. Maybe when something happens, your father will send us hundreds of billions of dollars. Talk about return on investment, man, ROI. That's, I think that Volodymyr Zelensky just refers to Joe Biden as ROI because what a deal they got. Amazing stuff. We have so many remarkable Democrat stories today. In California, they have invited in teams of Mexican firefighters from Mexico. Mexican firefighters have come in to fight the fires in Southern California in the Los Angeles Metroplex. Isn't that amazing? Why did they bring in Mexican firefighters? Well, because apparently the LGBTQ honestly, the DIE, it's right? DIE, that's it. DEI, their diversity, equity, and inclusion, fire department hiring practices haven't gone very well at all. What is one of the big fires is still 13% contained. But they've got the DEI, LGBTQ, WOC fire department, and that makes them very proud. And if your house burned down, they're really not sorry. They're like Pee Wee Herman. They're really not sorry about that. They'll tell you they're sorry, but they're not. When you're not looking, they're going to say, I'm not sorry, because they're really not. These people. I got to tell you, but honestly, have you seen this? Firefighters from Mexico arrived to help fight California wildfires. Man. Isn't that amazing? Because all my life, the way things worked is Mexico was in trouble, earthquake or fire, And we sent people to Mexico to help them, right? And now, finally, Mexico, maybe they're sending their best. At long last, they could be sending their best because they've sent these firefighters to help fight the fires because the Democrats are not capable anymore. In California, they've turned California into such a third world beep hole that now we in the United States are calling on Mexico for help when we have crises, when we have fires. And it's an insult to the United States, America, and to Western civilization. We've officially become a third world country because California is a third world state. But there are a couple of good things. First of all, they are sending their best at long last. Second, they came in legally. First large group of Mexicans to come in legally in a long time. And that's good. And they're here to put out fires, and that's great. And they already speak the native language of California, which is Espanol. Now, that's kind of nice. So that's good stuff. We're going back and forth on this morning with Randy and Michael Piercy and Kevin. And honestly, yeah, they're finally sending their best. They came in legally. At least they speak the language in California. Really remarkable stuff. Just great. So the Democrats, they're dismantling the United States of America. They're not on our side, and they're just not. They're not good leaders. They're not good followers. They're not good people. These people, can I just say, remarkable stuff. Yes, sir. So we got that today, and the fires are out of control. But that we should call them like the LGBT fires because you think they'd be out by now if they just had the patriarchy fighting them, but they weren't politically correct fire departments, DEI fire departments. Hard to say. Not really, though. Did you see one of the big fires is like 87% contained as opposed to the DEI fire, which is 13% contained. And I wanted to look up the fire chief where it's 87% contained and see what that fire chief looks like. I don't want to be, but I just want to be well informed. So I wanted to look that up. Say, hey, because you got the graphic on the TV. This giant fire has been going for like 9 days, and it's 13% contained. This fire over here has been going for about 5 days. It's 87% contained. Let's compare and contrast the politics since the Democrats have politicized everything. And it's always gender and sexual orientation and race, of course, and gender, genitalia, melanin levels. The left is mentally ill, disturbed, and they are destroying the world. So if you want to destroy the world and you hate humanity, vote for them. Isn't that amazing? Now, also, just see this story, because this is kind of an amazing story. In Washington, D.C., the inauguration is coming up, as you might imagine. And Washington, D.C. is run by Democrats like, Bowser, Wowzer, Muriel Bowser, the mayor. And they're all left-wing Democrats. And they got that Jew-hating Trayon White, who was reelected in a landslide in November. And he hates the Jews and spits on the Holocaust Memorial. And he's not on the side of civilization. But he's a city council member. He may be in trouble with the city council, but he's a city council member. And they've set up a reviewing stand, the District of Columbia Democrats, keeping in mind that last time Trump was inaugurated, more than half of them didn't show up for the inauguration, right? Just like Big Mike isn't going to show up. She didn't show up for the Carter funeral. She's not showing up for the Trump inauguration either. She's just hanging out at their Magnum PI mansion in Hawaii, which they bulldozed and destroyed. But the reviewing stand for the District of Columbia Democrat officials, $1.5 million. They spent $1.5 million. I'm a taxpayer in Washington, D.C. They spent $1.5 million on a nice, warm, heated, insulated inauguration reviewing room, a reviewing stand. And then most of them won't show up because it's not their money. You know, it's like Wild Brush. It's Chaparral in California. They just burn through our money, and then they don't show up. They spit on your grave. That's a great Democrat movie from the old days. Yeah, inauguration parade stand for the mayor, $1.5 million. Democrats, honestly, we're going to need more prisons. Amazing stuff that we've got here. Just great. So we got that. And Wes Moore, the Democrat governor in Maryland next door, is announcing today big tax increases, but only for the rich people, not for you. That's lie number one. Lie number one. He's planning on being president, too. He's got designs on everything. Not on your side. We're at 888-630-9625. Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at washingtontimes.com/Chris. Bum, 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 bum. Oh, yeah, and everybody's lashing out. If you're performing at the Trump inaugural, then the left and The View, they're very angry with you at The View because of the brain damage and the drug use and everything. Early onset dementia. Let's go to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Phil, calling from Fredericksburg, Virginia. Philip, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, good morning, Mr. Plant. Look, these crazy Democrats who burn up L.A., we've got the exact same crazy Democrats in Richmond on both sides, controlling both sides of the government. The only person who's holding them at bay right now is Youngkin. We need to down-ballot vote. The Republican Party's got to take over the government in Richmond to give Winston Sears, help to control the madness that's coming to Virginia. And I want to say one thing. People have said that California does not have a controlled burn policy. Oh, they've got a controlled burn policy. The Democrat Party controls the water, and they watch your house burn to the ground. So we got to do something about Virginia.
But it's under control, in California. Now they've brought Mexican firefighters in, too, because – and I looked at some pictures of the Mexican firefighters that came in. Not a single one of them looks like a lesbian. I don't know if they're going to be able to put any fires out that way.
Isn't that astonishing?
Yeah. Yeah, but they brought their own hoses.
Good for something.
They brought their own hoses, but we'll see what they can do. That honestly, this is a role reversal. We've never seen a country like Mexico send help to the United States. We send help to Mexico and to every other country, but now the Democrats has so ruined the state of California. The wealthiest, the most populous, the most this, used to be the envy of the world. Now it's an embarrassment to civilization itself because, Phil.
Come on Monday.
The left.
Come on Monday.
You going to be at the inauguration?
I wish I could be there, but no, I got to work.
Work? Got to work. Work. Hello, boys. How are you? I missed you last night. Somebody's got to pay all these taxes, honestly. We got a lot of crazy in this country, and its name is the Democrat Party. Yeah, and I'll just call them the women. I'll keep it clean. The women of The View. Joy and Sonny and Whoopi. No sense of irony. Once again, these people, no sense of irony. Who named these people? Well, not their parents, as a matter of fact. Whoopi's real name is Karen. She's Karen Johnson. Her real name is Karen Johnson. And as I understand, she doesn't. But that's another discussion for another day. And Sonny, that's ironic. She's no fun. And Joy, they got all these people named Joy, like that crazy person at MSDNC, and they're the most joyless people you're going to find anywhere. They shouldn't be allowed to be named Joy. They're ruining the word. But I'll get to a bit of that later on because they're very upset about the inauguration, and Carrie Underwood singing there has them very, very angry, like Marvin the Martian, very angry. These people are not well at all. Not at all. I wonder if we're going to have any Mexican firefighters at the inauguration. Maybe Maybe not. Amazing stuff. Wah, wah, wah. I want to see the $1.5 million reviewing stand for the mayor of Washington, D.C. and her fellow anti-Semites. Extraordinary stuff. All right, let's get some of the stuff from yesterday because we've got interesting stuff going on everywhere. But I want to get to some of the Pete Hegseth. Now, the Pete Hegseth hearing was happening largely, half of it, while we were on the air yesterday. And we shared some of it with you in real time, turning it around, keeping one ear on the hearing as it was going by. But we've got more of it for you now as well. And I got to say, now the media, the news media around here, they've got all kinds of wacky stuff about the upcoming inauguration and about Pete Hegseth. The Washington Post came to my front doorstep today, and it's got a picture of a scowling Pete Hegseth with a furrowed brow, chopping his hand through the air, making it look like he's angry. And he wasn't at all. He smiled his way through the ridiculous hearing. They should have a picture of a Democrat lying. You know, how would you know they were lying in the still photograph? Because they were talking, because you took a picture of them. There it is. But they got a picture of Pete Hegseth, and he's supposed to look very negative and angry. Hegseth under fire at hearing. Focus on behavior, roles for women. They want to get more women killed in combat by enemies of civilization. That's the Democrat Party's program, and that's what the Washington Post represents. More women killed in combat is a good thing, and taken prisoner by the savages, by the Islamists. That'd be good for the Democrat Party. He clears a hurdle as Republicans unite in defense. Why would he have to be defended? And is that like a Defense Department reference there? Isn't that amazing stuff? So the Washington Post, and they had 3 Democrats type up a ridiculous little piece on it. Oh, and this makes me laugh, too. This is kind of laugh out loud funny. Gaza ceasefire talks reach, quote, final stages, end quote, mediators say. Well, the terrorists, the Hamas, the troglodytes, the kidnappers, hostage takers, rapists, murderers, decapitators, they've gotten the message from Donald Trump, and that if the hostages are still being held on Inauguration Day, that they will be held to pay. And now they're thinking maybe it's time to make a deal, because I think Trump really means it. This is the Trump effect, and Biden is going to try to take credit for it. Just like he took credit from the State Department day before yesterday for NATO countries paying their fair share for more NATO, which President Trump pressured the NATO countries to do. The Democrats attacked President Trump, said he was going to destroy NATO, and I told you that he was going to make NATO stronger. He made NATO stronger. Even the NATO Secretary General, now former NATO Secretary General, said so, and we played the audio for you of that. But the Washington Post lies. They lie constantly. Just amazing stuff. And then they've got a front page story of the Washington Post. In Greenland, most give Trump the cold shoulder. Yeah, well, we'll see about that. That's and actually there's a poll. There's a poll out of Greenland where a majority of Greenlanders, the Greenlandic people, are saying, yeah, U.S., yeah, sure. Yeah, what's Denmark ever done for us? What do they send us, those stinky fish? We already have those. What do they care about that stuff? You got that amazing stuff. And toxic health hazards could persist long after Los Angeles fires burn out. Well, that's sure. Well, you guys are creating an environmental catastrophe because you're in charge of the environment and you're leftists. So everything you say you're going to do, well, it turns out to be the opposite because you shouldn't be in charge of anything. You appalling, ridiculous people. All right, let's go to some audio from yesterday's Pete Hegseth hearing, and we're keeping our ear to the ground today on various confirmation hearings that will be at least beginning and will be underway while we are on the air for 3 hours today. Pam Bondi for Attorney General is starting, and we'll keep you up to date on that. But let's get to Pete Hegseth yesterday. Now, this was kind of an amazing stat that I've got to say I did not know. I will confess. a stat that I did not know, but Pete Hegseth threw out this stat yesterday about the bloated bureaucracy at the Pentagon and how top-heavy the military has become.
We won World War II with 7 four-star generals. Today we have 44 four-star generals. There's an inverse relationship between the size of staffs and victory on the battlefield. We don't need more bureaucracy at the top. We need more warfighters empowered at the bottom.
Huh. Interesting. Man, oh, man. We won World War II with 7 four-star. We had some pretty good ones. Then we had a couple of 5-star generals in there, too, and admirals as well. We had some pretty dandy admirals, but with 7 four-star generals. And I'm not sure whether he's just talking about in the U.S. Army, but, and again, a couple of 5 stars. But we had Eisenhower, and start with him. Kind of a good general, got to say. Cleared Europe of the Socialist Workers' Party of Adolf Hitler. Pretty good job. But we had, MacArthur, and we had a lot of great generals in World War II. But nevertheless, 7 four-star generals, World War II. We won World War II. And 44 four-star generals today, and that's a striking number. It's good because it's one sentence, and it speaks volumes as to the bloat of the Washington bureaucracy. And you do need to keep a permanent framework in place so you don't have to start from scratch when the Chinese attack. But 44 four-star generals today versus 7 four-star generals to win World War II. Pretty amazing stuff. I stayed, not all about me, but staying in Manila, the Philippines, at the Manila Hotel, which had been MacArthur's headquarters. And they have a MacArthur suite there. There are still bullet scars in the lobby of it's a beautiful hotel, wonderful hotel. So they left some bullet scars because American troops had to come in and shoot their way through to drive the Japanese out after they occupied it. And the Japanese admiral that took over, Mrs. MacArthur, had been collecting china from around Asia and had displayed it all in the MacArthur suite there at the Manila Hotel. The Japanese admiral came in, left it all in place, found it pretty, didn't smash it, didn't steal it, left it all in place. Yeah. It's almost like they're civilized or something. But enough about me. Let's get back to yesterday. There is a Democrat senator out of New York named Kirsten Gillibrand. She, they wanted to attack and smear and slander Pete Hegseth based on anonymous fake news reports, and all kinds of people on the record that have worked with Pete Hegseth over the years say glowing things about him. But some anonymous people told news reporters that he's really bad, he's really mean. And he does have 2 ex-wives and a current wife, third wife. Kind of like Joe Scarborough, but it's no problem for him, is it? And then, let's not even start on Bill Clinton, who they all love. And we'll get to Tim Kaine because he loves Bill Clinton, but he wants to attack. All right, so here's Kirsten Gillibrand, Democrat, New York, United States Senator.
I have many concerns about your record.
Many.
And particularly your public statements, because
they
are so hurtful to the men and women who are currently serving in the U.S. military.
I doubt that.
Harmful to morale.
No, they're
harmful to good order and discipline. If you are saying that women shouldn't be serving in the military, you will have to change how you see women to do this job well. And I don't know if you are capable of that.
No, he never said women shouldn't be serving in the military. He talked about women in frontline combat roles, but he never said women shouldn't be serving in the military. So her entire premise is a lie, a fatuous lie, a fraud perpetrated by a terrible, corrupt person named Kirsten Gillibrand, a Democrat senator from New York. She took Hillary Clinton's seat, so to speak, in the Senate. Kirsten Gillibrand. So always start with a lie, Senator. Completely false. Kirsten Gillibrand.
As Secretary, would you take any action to reinstitute the combat arms exclusion for female service members?
I've never disparaged women serving in the military.
Just a minor detail. So everything that you've said, your entire premise, is a lot of bourgeois. And I'm here to tell you that your pants are on fire because you're such a liar. Gillibrand.
Are you saying that 50% of the DOD, if they hold liberal views or leftist views or are Democrats, are not welcome in the military? Are you saying that?
Senator, I volunteered to deploy to Afghanistan under Democrat President Barack Obama. I also volunteered to guard the inauguration of Joe Biden, but was denied the opportunity to serve because I was identified as an extremist by my own unit for a Christian tattoo.
Had a tattoo of across the Jerusalem cross. So, oh, that means he's a Nazi. No, it means you're a Nazi because you say Christians are extremists, you fascists. And then there's a Democrat from New Hampshire by the name of Jean Shaheen, which is kind of a funny name, isn't it? It's a little bit funny. Jean Shaheen, she's a Senate machine. And Jean Shaheen was there. And on the Senate, they had, the Democrats orchestrated this. They had women folk come in and attack Pete Hegseth on women-related issues because, shared genitalia, and it's identity politics brought to the confirmation hearing.
Mr. Hegseth, should we take it to believe that you believe
No.
that the two women on this committee who have served honorably and with distinction made our military less effective and less capable?
I'm incredibly grateful for the two women who've served our military in uniform and including in the Central Intelligence Agency, contributions on the battlefield, indispensable contributions. Senator, I would like to clarify, when I'm talking about that issue, it's not about the capabilities of men and women, it's about standards.
It's about standards, about not lowering standards so you can say you have more women on the battlefield and then everybody gets killed and the Democrats high five and they say, yeah, but we had women on the battlefield, so that's good. Joni Ernst, too, I think, did 20 years, Senator Joni Ernst in the Army, and this is Senator Joni Ernst.
I had the privilege of serving in uniform for over 23 years. And let's make it very clear for everyone here today.
Republican.
As Secretary of Defense, will you support women continuing to have the opportunity to serve in combat roles?
Yes, women will have access to ground combat roles, given the standards remain high, and we'll have a review to ensure the standards have not been eroded.
Standards remain high? What kind of misogynist? I smell man stink. See, this is why masculinity is toxic. Really, they're fighting for more women to get killed in combat. That strikes me as pretty strange. But they're pretty strange, aren't they? Now, here is the reliably unintelligent Mazie Hirono from Hawaii. She's a Democrat. She's been there for a very long time. Mazie Hirono. Kind of cute if she were, like a grandmother serving cookies or something. But she's really a ridiculous embarrassment to the United States Senate, I've got to say. And it's... the Pentagon for the last 7 years, I believe it is, has failed audits. Hey, where's all the money going that we give you? And we don't know. We misplaced billions and billions. Somebody look under the cushion over there. I might have fell out of my pocket. Mazie Hirono.
Have you led an audit of any organization? Yes or no? I don't want a long answer. Yes or no? Have you led an audit of any organization of which you were in charge?
Senator, in both of the organizations I ran, we were always completely fiscally responsible.
Yes or no, did you lead an audit?
And the way
yes or no, did you lead an audit?
Stated,
yes or no? What are you afraid of? You can't answer this question. Yes or no, did you lead an audit? Do you not know this answer?
Senator, every
yes or
part
no?
of my leadership
yes
of these organizations
yes
has
or
been
no,
misrepresented.
I will take that as a no. What were the findings? So there were no findings because you've never led an audit. What guidance did you give the auditors? None, because you've never led an audit.
Because you've never led an audit, isn't she? I'll take that as a no. She came in with that one. I'll let it up. Well, if you're asking where I've led the audits of the Defense Department over the last 7 years, and they've gotten a failing grade 7 years in a row. No, I've not been in charge of those failed audits. And by the way, it's going to take, probably a year before I'm actually in control of the money because it's in the pipeline now. But it's completely unserious, unintelligent. Show business, it's all TV, it's completely fake. She'll use a piece of that in the campaign commercial, and people in Hawaii will send her back again until she's 112 years old because her name is Mazie. Mazie. My people call it corny. All right, we have a correction to make because Michael Piercy's been fired again. Fired one more time. That Mazie Hirono soundbite we just played was actually a Tammy Duckworth soundbite and not Mazie Hirono. But the next two soundbites are Mazie Hirono, and I'll share those with you. But that was Tammy Duckworth. You ever lead an audit? An audit? What about an audit? Yes or no? It's like, well, he should be waterboarded until he answers yes or no. Honestly, I don't think she'll ever be president. Screaming shrew. What's the matter with you people? But that was Tammy Duckworth, and Michael Piercy has hanged himself in the corner. Kind of sad, and we've replaced him with a living person, which is the way, because you need to have somebody with, living, still moving and all that stuff. Tragic. But I've got more coming out of that. In the meantime, let's go back to the telephones, and then we'll get to Mazie Hirono, who is at least as bad and probably worse. Let's go to Marty, calling from beautiful Appleton, Wisconsin. Marty, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris. Thanks for taking my call.
You betcha.
Hey, I was listening to you yesterday morning, because I always do. I listen to you every morning at work. Uh-huh. And then you had mentioned hearings, because I had forgotten about them. So I switched over, and I wanted to hear it. And I caught the majority. When I switched over from you to the hearings, I listened to all of it to the end.
Uh-huh.
So I didn't catch all of it, but I caught the majority of it.
Uh-huh.
And out of all the Democrats, I counted 2 that thanked Pete Hegseth for his service. All the Republicans did. I counted 2 out of all the Democrats. That's disgusting. Are you kidding me? You're not going to vote for him, fine. But you can't thank him for what he did. You wouldn't be a senator if it wasn't for men and women like him. And they're just, what you say, Schweinhund.
Schweinhund? Yeah. Marty knows the Schweinhund. We all know the Schweinhund. It's, World War II movie German. We all know our World War II movie German. And they are Schweinhund. They're pig dogs. And they're not on our side, and they're not on the side of the U.S. military. And they're Democrats. And they're shrill and loud and ridiculous. Now, I got a friend of mine who has 3 sons who are growing up in America. He says he wants to know where these Democrat women stand because they're such feminists, were women in combat. How about women in the draft? Shouldn't women be drafted in wartime along with men?